Assalamu alaikum students. Hope you all are doing well. The topic for our discussion today is gross anatomy of dural venous sinuses. What are dural venous sinuses? A complex network of venous channels that drain blood from the brain as well as cranial bones. Now, what's the difference between common veins and dural venous sinuses? Dural venous sinuses are slightly dilated channels which are present between endosteal and meningeal layers of dura mater. They are lined by endothelium and their walls are devoid of muscular tissue, and these channels have no valves. They develop initially as venous plexuses rather than being simple vessels with a single lumen. We can divide the dural venous sinuses into two groups, paired and unpaired sinuses. The paired sinuses are cavernous sinus, superior petrosal sinus, inferior petrosal sinus, transverse sinus, sigmoid sinus, and sphenoparietal sinus. While some important unpaired sinuses which are present in the median plane are superior and inferior sagittal sinus, straight sinus, occipital sinus, anterior and posterior intercavernous sinuses, and basilar plexus of veins. We will discuss all the important sinuses one by one. Now, first of all, superior sagittal sinus. This is unpaired sinus present in the median plane where it runs in the upper attached convex margin of falx cerebri. It grooves the inner aspect of skull cap where it produces sagittal sulcus. It starts near crista galli by the union of tiny meningeal veins, and it ends at internal occipital protuberance by turning to one side, and usually it turns to right side and becomes continuous as right transverse sinus. It is narrow anteriorly and wider posteriorly, and it is triangular in cross section. Its main important tributaries are superior cerebral veins, parietal imagery veins, and venous lacunae. They drain diploic and meningeal veins. Venous lacuna means pouch or cavity. Superior sagittal sinus communicates laterally on each side through slit-like openings with these lacunae, and there are usually 2 to 3 lacunae present on each side. Now in this diagram we can see the falx cerebri, and in its superior attached convex margin, this is superior sagittal sinus which runs up to internal occipital protuberance and turns on the right side as right transverse sinus. What are arachnoid granulations? Collections of arachnoid villi. These are tufted prolongations of arachnoid that protrude through meningeal layer of dura mater into dural venous sinuses, and they affect the transfer of CSF into venous system. In this diagram we can see these are venous lacuna and these are arachnoid granulations which are projecting into venous lacuna. Now this is cross section of the superior sagittal sinus, in which we can see triangular in cross section, and these are venous lacuna which open through minute openings into superior sagittal sinus. We can see the imagery veins and diploic veins which open into these lacunae, and these are arachnoid granulations which also open into superior sagittal sinus and venous lacunae. In this diagram we can see the arachnoid granulations which produce pits on the bone which are called granular fovea. The next is inferior sagittal sinus. It is present in the posterior half or 2/3 of free inferior margin of falx cerebri, and it ends by joining the great cerebral vein to form straight sinus. Straight sinus is present where at the junction of falx cerebri and tentorium cerebelli, and it runs as continuation of inferior sagittal sinus and drains into transverse sinus and continue as left transverse sinus. It receives few of the superior cerebellar veins. Now in this diagram we can see the inferior free margin of falx cerebri and inferior sagittal sinus, which runs on the posterior 2/3 or posterior half of the falx cerebri up to posterior margin, where it joins the great cerebral vein and forms a straight sinus, and straight sinus runs backward up to internal occipital protuberance. The next one is transverse sinus. It runs in posterior attached margin of tentorium cerebelli. In the transverse sulcus, which is present on squamous part of occipital bone up to postero-inferior angle of parietal bone, which is also called mastoid angle. It extends from internal occipital protuberance to mastoid angle of parietal bone, where it becomes continuous with the sigmoid sinus. Right transverse sinus is larger than left and in continuation of superior sagittal sinus, while left is continuous with the straight sinus. Its tributaries are inferior cerebral veins, inferior cerebellar veins, superior petrosal sinus, and inferior anastomotic and diploic veins. Sigmoid sinus lie in the continuation of transverse sinus, and it grooves mastoid part of temporal bone. It extends from mastoid angle to jugular foramen, where it becomes continuous as superior bulb of internal jugular vein. You can see the important tributaries of sigmoid venous sinus. Superior and inferior petrosal sinus. These are paired sinuses which drain the cavernous sinus. Superior petrosal sinus drain the cavernous sinus into transverse sinus on each side, and it is present on superior border of petrous temporal bone along attached margin of tentorium cerebelli, while inferior petrosal sinus, which drains the cavernous sinus into internal jugular vein on each side, and it is present in petro-occipital fissure. Next is sphenoparietal sinus. It lies along posterior free margin of lesser wing of sphenoid on each side, and it drains into cavernous sinus. And occipital sinus lies in the attached margin of falx cerebelli and ends at confluence of sinuses at internal occipital protuberance. This is right transverse sinus, continuation of superior sagittal sinus. It runs up to mastoid angle and then turn as sigmoid sinus. This one is left transverse sinus, which is a continuation of straight sinus. Superior and inferior petrosal sinus, they drain the cavernous sinus into transverse sinus and internal jugular vein respectively. These are two cavernous sinus on each side, and this one is sphenoparietal sinus. The next and very important sinus is cavernous sinus. These are paired sinuses, and these are two large venous plexuses lie on either side of the body of sphenoid bone. It extends from superior orbital fissure anteriorly to apex of petrous temporal bone posteriorly, 1 centimeter wide and 2 centimeter in length. It has medial and lateral walls and roof and floor. Floor and medial wall of the sinus are made by endosteal layer of dura mater, while roof and lateral wall are formed by meningeal layer of dura mater. Relations of cavernous sinus are very important. This diagram showing some important relations of the cavernous sinus. You can see medially cavernous sinus is related to pituitary gland above and sphenoidal air sinus in the body of sphenoid inferiorly. Superiorly or roof, it is related to internal carotid artery and optic nerve and optic chiasma. Laterally, it is related to temporal lobe of brain, and inferiorly it is related to foramen lacerum and the junction of body of sphenoid with the greater wing of sphenoid. Now, the structures which passing through its lateral wall, these are very important cranial nerves which pass through lateral wall of the cavernous sinus and separated from the cavity only by endothelial layer. These are oculomotor third cranial nerve, trochlear or fourth cranial nerve, then first and second division ophthalmic and maxillary branch of trigeminal nerve. They pass through lateral wall of the cavernous sinus. Oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, ophthalmic division, maxillary division. These structures pass through lateral wall of the cavernous sinus, while internal carotid artery and postero-inferior to it abducent nerve, that is sixth cranial nerve, pass through the sinus. This part of internal carotid artery is called cavernous part of internal carotid artery, and these two structures pass through the sinus along medial wall, and both are separated by endothelial lining of the sinus. On the medial aspect, these are sphenoidal air sinuses, pituitary gland or hypophysis cerebri, superiorly internal carotid artery, and optic chiasma and optic tract. In this lateral view of cavernous sinus, we can see the oculomotor nerve which is passing through lateral wall, then trochlear nerve, then abducent nerve which passing through the sinus, and cavernous part of internal carotid artery which is passing through the sinus, and then internal carotid artery becomes on superior aspect or roof of the sinus. Tributaries of the cavernous sinus: superior ophthalmic vein, branch or sometimes itself inferior ophthalmic vein, and central vein of retina occasionally, because it may drain into superior ophthalmic vein. These are the veins from the orbit. Then superficial middle cerebral vein, inferior cerebral veins from the brain, basilar plexus of vein which is present on the basilar part of occipital bone, sphenoparietal sinus we have just seen, and veins traversing the imagery sphenoidal foramen, foramen ovale and foramen lacerum, means the imagery veins through these foramen also open into cavernous sinus. And less frequently frontal division of middle meningeal vein which either drain into cavernous sinus or into sphenoparietal sinus. In this diagram we can see the location of cavernous sinus, its draining channels and tributaries. This is body of sphenoid. On each side of the body of sphenoid, this is cavernous sinus. which extend anteriorly up to superior orbital fissure and posteriorly up to apex of petrous temporal bone. Few important tributaries in this view: superior ophthalmic vein, sphenoparietal sinus, frontal division of the middle meningeal vein, and then itself cavernous sinus is drained by superior petrosal sinus and inferior petrosal sinus, which drains superior petrosal sinus into transverse sinus on each side, while inferior petrosal sinus drained directly into internal jugular vein. Two cavernous sinuses are connected by anterior and posterior intercavernous sinuses. In this diagram on the left side, we can see few important communications of a cavernous sinus. Through superior ophthalmic vein with supraorbital vein, it drains the forehead of face. Then through imagery veins with pterygoid plexus of veins, and this pterygoid plexus of vein communicate through deep facial vein with the facial vein. Same draining channel, superior petrosal sinus into transverse sinus, while inferior petrosal sinus into internal jugular vein. Few communications of the cavernous sinus are very important, as infection from these areas through these communications may reach the cavernous sinus. Transverse sinus through superior petrosal sinus, it communicates directly with internal jugular vein through inferior petrosal sinus. Then pterygoid plexus of vein, which are present in infratemporal fossa, through imagery veins we have just discussed. Facial vein through superior ophthalmic vein and deep facial vein. And then right and left cavernous sinus communicate through anterior and posterior intercavernous sinuses. Now, what is confluence of sinuses? Viva question. What is confluence of sinuses? A point where superior sagittal, straight, occipital and transverse sinuses meet. It is called confluence of sinuses, and it occurs at internal occipital protuberance. One important clinical condition related to cavernous sinus is cavernous sinus thrombosis. Thrombosis of the sinus may be caused by spread of infection either from dangerous area of face or through nasal cavity or paranasal sinuses through the communications we have just discussed. This thrombosis may affect the structures which are passing through the sinus and in the lateral wall, embedded in the lateral wall of the sinus, like important cranial nerves, third, fourth and first two divisions of trigeminal nerve and sixth cranial nerve, that is abducent nerve, and it result in paralysis of the muscles supplied by these nerves, and these are the muscles of eye. Then there is pain in the area which is supplied by ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve, edema of the eyelids, root of nose with exophthalmos, that is proptosis, protrusion of the eyeball due to congestion of orbital veins. Thrombosis may result in septic thrombosis of sinus, may result in development of the acute meningitis. And finally, this diagram showing the orientation of sinuses in the cranial cavity. We can see the superior sagittal sinus, inferior sagittal sinus, straight sinus, and then confluence of sinuses, occipital sinus, right and left transverse sinuses, sigmoid sinus, and ultimately they form internal jugular vein. These are two cavernous sinuses connected through intercavernous sinuses and connected with transverse sinus through superior petrosal sinus and with internal jugular vein through inferior petrosal sinus. So this was all about the gross anatomy of dural venous sinuses.